everyone, welcome to the UPSC Prelim series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about miscellaneous. We already had done one session, so I hope you like that session. So this session is about the current affairs which is relevant for your examination, and it covers all the aspects. It means the science and technology, history, geography, environment and ecology. So that's why we have termed it as a miscellaneous. So moving towards the first news. So the first news is about Panchayat Development Index report. As India is a country which is village prone country, it means that most of its areas are rural area. So that's why it's very important to have discussion and have evaluation of panchayats of the country. So Union Ministry of State, Ministry of Panchayati Raj released the report on Panchayat Development Index at the National Workshop on Panchayat Development Index held in New Delhi. And what it basically does, so it measures the performance of panchayat in achieving the localization of sustainable development goals, and it also aims to promote the localization of SDGs by increasing awareness their importance among panchayats and stakeholders. So what it is basically about, so we have few goals for sustainable development goals, and India has also committed for the sustainable development goals. So in order to raise awareness about the sustainable development goals to the ground level, to the root level, this particular index has been decided, and it analyzes that how much awareness a village panchayat has about sustainable development goals, how they are keeping their environment clean, how they are effective for the fossil fuel management, for other things. So that's why this particular thing has come. And according to this, there are four categories. The first one is A plus, which is above 90%, and the A is 75 to 90%, and the B is 60 to 75%, and then come to the C 40 to 60%, and D is score below 40%. So these are the categories decided by this index, and according to that categories, according to the performances of different panchayat, they fall into this particular category. Then coming to the next one, Panchayat Development Index consider 9 themes. So we must know what are the 9 themes. We already had discussed that they are based and they are evaluated on the basis of fulfillment of sustainable development goals. But here in detail we are going to discuss that what are the 9 themes. The first is poverty free, improved livelihood, healthy villages, child friendly villages, water sufficient villages, clean and green villages, self-reliant infrastructure, socially equitable and self villages, good governance and women empowerment. So what all these themes is that they are related to sustainable development goal, and in order to make any village panchayat an ideal village, these parameters should be followed and must be checked. And this has been initiated as a pilot project, and it was first initiated in the 4 districts: Maharashtra, Pune, Sangli, Satara and Solapur. So 4 districts of Maharashtra, and the who are the Pune, Sangli, Satara and Solapur. Coming to the next news. Next news is about assistance scheme for minor victims of sexual harassment. As you already know that we often hear the news that minors are raped, they are human trafficked, they are sexually abused. So for all these things, government has come to a very good program for the women who has to face various kind of taboo because someone has raped them, someone has sexually abused them. So in order to improve their lives, in order to boost their confidence, the government of India has come to a new initiative. The initiative name is Assistance Scheme for Minor Victims of Sexual Harassment, and this has been run by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, and it is for the women who are below the 18 and who have become pregnant because of the rape and other sexual activities. So this is for that thing, and it provides shelter, food, legal aid and other necessary assistance to the victims, and it is available for whole the country, and also victims who are below the 18 years of age, and if something bad has happened to them, then definitely they don't need FIR to get this kind of benefit. Without FIR, they can get this kind of the benefits, and they can live a healthy and a dignified life. So this is about this thing, and this has been initiated under the Nirbhaya Fund. Then coming to the next one is about India 6G Alliance. So recently the India has launched the 5G technology. So India is also in a preparation to launch the 6G technology, and for that Department of Telecommunication on the Ministry of Communication has launched the Bharat 6G Alliance. As the name already suggests, Bharat 6G Alliance, it means that it is related to the 6G technology, and it will foster the innovation and leadership in 6G technology. And what is B6GA? So it is a collaborative platform comprising public and private companies, academics, research institutions, and standard development organization. And they will also focus, and they will help India at take a leading role in the development and adoption of the 6G technology. So coming to more about that, what is 6G technology? So it is an upgraded version of 5G technology, and it is 100 times faster than the 5G technology. So imagine when 6G technology come to the India, how faster the world would be, because we don't have to wait for a minute for a single kind of search or something like that. So the 6G will help India digitally and also the technologically, and with the help of ultra low latency, high reliability, and widespread connectivity, the 6G will be very much effective for the country like India, who is much digitally aware, and so many of its population uses digital technology. And they have also 3D holographic images, and it is a future technology which has also facility that the human brains can control the computer. So this is the upgraded version of the 5G technology. Coming to the next one is about energy transition index. And who releases energy transition index? So it is released by World Economic Forum. So you must know that who releases, and if there will be any conference to a particular index or particular report, you must know that where that conference has been held. And what is the rank of India into the energy transition index? So it is the 67th position. And who had held the top position? So Sweden tops the list, followed by the Denmark, Norway, Finland, Switzerland. So they have topped the list. And among all the G20 countries, only France has got the 7th rank, and all the countries are below the top 10. So only France has included in the top 10 list. So this is about the energy transition index, and it is a list of 120 economies on the current performance of the energy system, that how effectively energy system they have and what are the sources for the energy they have. So this is about the energy transition index. Then coming to the Israeli military operation in Jenin refugee camp. So as you already know that Israel Palestinians are involved in the war, and most of the time what we have seen that Israelis are attacking the Palestinians, and they are attacking the nuclear power plants, they are attacking the refugee groups. So this is also one of the refugee camp, and which is has been not come this time. It is a historical camp, and when the Intifada has come, so this particular Jenin refugee camp also come to the existence. And where it is located? So it is located at the West Bank, and it is occupied by the Palestinian refugees, and they are targeting and they are attacking, and they want to destroy and seize the weapons and target, because Israelis saying that there must be the terrorist activities happening in the refugee camp. So that's why they are destroying and they are seizing this Jenin camp. So coming to the few points about the Jenin camp. So when it was established, so it got established in 1953, and it was built for the accommodation of the Palestinian refugees, and during the 1948 Arab-Israel war known as the Nakba. So because of the Nakba and because of the Arab-Israel war, this particular refugee camp came to the existence, and since then so many Palestinians are residing there, and Israelis are thinking that there must be some terrorist activities happening in order to destroy the Israel. So this is the thing. And also few important places we have when we are talking about the Israel-Palestinian war, and you must check all these places. They are the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Sheikh Zarrah, West Bank, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights. So you must know the direction and location of all these places. Then coming to the next one, which is Mission Vatsalya Yojana. As the name suggests, Vatsal, it means that it is related to the children and mother, and it is for the child development. And Mission Vatsalya has been designed and has been launched by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, and it is a village level child development program, and which will identify children who are in a difficult situation. So it is basically for the development of the children, and it is an umbrella scheme for the child protection services in India and ensure a healthy and happy childhood for every child in the country. So basically, the due to any circumstances whose parents have died, the children has become orphan and any kind of things, so this Mission Vatsalya will help those kind of the children. Then we have this Export Readiness Index 2023. So Niti Aayog has released this Export Readiness Index, the third edition of the Export Readiness Index, and the report explains India's export performance in financial year 2022 in the prevailing global trade context and sector specific export performance. And it is comprehensive system that assesses the export preparedness of the states and union territories in India. And who has topped this list? So Tamil Nadu has topped this list, followed by Maharashtra and Karnataka, and among the hilly states, Uttarakhand has topped this list. Then Haryana tops in the landlord sectors and landlocked states, and then Goa ranks first among the union territories and smallest states. And what are the main pillars of the Export Readiness Index? So we have to must care for the policies related to the exports, business ecosystem, what kind of business ecosystem we have, then export ecosystem and the export performance. So on the basis of all these criteria, the states are judged. So this is about the pillars. Then we have welfare schemes for minority communities. So Government of India has also come with the initiative of welfare schemes for minority communities, and who are minorities in this country. So we have Muslims, Jains, Parsis, Sikhs and Buddhists. So these are the minority communities and many more also who are residing in India and are officially categorized as minorities of this country. So what are the various benefits provided to them by Government of India? So among them, first is pre-matric scholarship scheme, and it is centrally funded scholarship scheme for student in all the states, and it is offered every year. Its objective is to provide financial assistance to the people and to the children. And what are the criteria and what are the which age groups are covered? So it is since class 1 to 10. That's why it is called as pre-matric scholarship scheme. Then we have also post-matric scholarship scheme, and it also provides financial stability and financial assistance to the children, and it is from 11th and 12th class students who are pursuing their studies. Then coming to the National Means Cum Merit Scholarship. So this financial assistance provided to the children who are meritorious and who have achieved this through the merit. So this is also one of them. And also employment and economic empowerment schemes, and it is the Prime Minister Promotion of Heritage, which is also known as PM Vikas, and it aims to preserve and promote the rich and cultural heritage of minority community. So this is the PM Vikas, and PM Vikas advocates to preserve the rich cultural heritage of the minority communities. Then we have NMDFC program, which provide concessional loans to the minority community in order to establish their economic venture or any kind of entrepreneurship. Then we have also few special programs just like Zio Parsi, because Parsi communities numbers are diminishing day by day. So the Government of India has come to with this feature, which is known as the Zio Parsi. And then we have Qaumi Waqf Board Tarkiyat scheme and urban waqf property. So so whatever the waqf property we have in this country, so this particular waqf board look at all those the development programs Coming to the next one. Next one is about credit guarantee scheme for livestock sector, and the Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry and Dairying has launched this particular credit guarantee scheme under animal husbandry, and it facilitates the collateral free loans to MSME in the livestock sector. So this is basically for the livestock sector, and its objective is to strengthen the livestock sector and credit disruption which are happening to the livestock business people. So this will provide smooth functioning of the livestock sector, and India is a country which is very much efficient in livestock. We are very much empowered when it comes to the meat production, when it comes to the milk production. We have got the first rank. So India is a country which provides lots of exports to the other countries in terms of the dairy production. So in this behalf, it's very important to strengthen our livestock sector. Then it also provides credit granting fund trust of rupees 750 crore, and the scheme offers interest subvention of rupees of just 3% on loans, and borrowers can avail up to 90% of the total project cost as loan. So suppose that if you are a livestock or livestock sector business person, so suppose that you need what you can say, you need 1 lakh for any kind of business establishment or entrepreneurship in terms of the livestock sector, and the cost of 90% or cost of 90% of 1 lakh would be covered, and you can get it as a loan. So this best feature has been provided for the production and for the development of the livestock sector. Then we have another one which is Henley Passport Index 2024, and Henley Passport Index, as the name suggests, it analyzes your passport. And what is the criteria for analysis of your passport? It means that the country who is providing a visa free travel to the other countries stood first, and among them France has stood the first, and the rank of India is 82nd, which has been slipped last time from the 1 point. So this is about the Henley Passport Index, and France lists this index in the visa free country, and it has allowed 194 country to visit visa free. And then we have India dropped 1 place this year, and in India you can travel 62 countries without visa, and total 199 countries has been analyzed and into this Henley Passport Index. So this is about Henley Passport Index. Then we have another one which is PM Divine scheme, and PM Divine scheme is related to the development of northeastern region of this country. So here you have to make code work that divine and northeastern regions are looking like a divine because of their geographical features. So these are the tricks which you can remember for your prelims examination, that PM Divine stands for the northeastern region, development initiative for the northeastern region. So that's why it is known as the PM Divine, and it is 100% funded by the central government. Sometimes they also ask the funding of the central government, so it is 100% funded by the central government. And what are the objectives of the PM Divine? Infrastructure development, support of social development project, and empowering youth and women. Because right now we have seen that Northeast is in a lot of what you can say communal conflict, the ethnic conflict. So many conflicts are happening in Northeast, and because of that the government of India had also overlooked so many of problems of the northeastern region. So that might be also one of the reason that the region is backward. They don't have economic upliftment, they don't have economic opportunity like other regions. So in this scenario, it is the duty of the government of this country to must look at the development of northeastern regions, because they lack onto all these points like women development, youth development, social development project. So that's why PM Divine has been designed. Then coming to the next one. Next one is about BharatNet project. As the name suggests, it is related to the internet. The Union Cabinet has approved rupees 1.39 lakh crore for the modernization of BharatNet projects, and National Optical Fiber Network was launched in October 2011, and it is named as BharatNet project in 2015. So it is a what you can say predecessor of National Optical Fiber Network, and it is the world's largest rural broadband connectivity, and it has also a what you can say, implementing authority, Bharat Broadband Network Limited, and BBN is a special purpose vehicle here, and it is financed by Universal Service Obligation Fund. So you must know these are the facts related to the BharatNet project, and it ensures people in rural areas, remote rural areas, have universal non-discriminatory access to quality information and communication technology. Because we often seen that in urban areas we have this net facilities and we have easy means of communication, but in rural areas we often lack such kind of the facilities. For the development of the communication system in rural area, the BharatNet project has been launched, and the USOF is providing funding to this particular thing. Then we have next one is about objective. So what is the objective? So compete with the private operators which are not present in rural areas like Zio and other private products, and then it is expected that service quality provided by BharatNet will be play a major role, because many times we often heard that the service which has been provided by the government is not efficiently working, it is not as fast as the private companies. So it's the duty and it's the, what you can say, trial by the government of India that we can provide the best facilities and efficient net facility to the rural India. It also aims to connect 6,40,000 villages across the India and provide broadband internet connectivity to each the more than 2.5 lakh gram panchayat. So it is basically dedicated to the rural areas. Coming to the next one. So next one is about Amrit Bharat Station Scheme, and on the occasion of Bharat Mahotsav, Amrit Bharat Mahotsav, because India has recently completed 75 years of independence, and on that occasion government of India has come with the various good initiative. So in order to revive the railway stations of this country, the Amrit Bharat Station Scheme has been launched, and under it 508 railway stations spread across the 27 states of the country. So the government of India wants that all those railway station who lacks modern infrastructure, who does not have technology, who are not technologically equipped, so in the name of or under the umbrella of Amrit Bharat Station Scheme, government of India has decided that they will revive all those railway stations and they will make it modern railway stations, so that the people from the rural India, the people from the remote areas will have this facility to get modern facility, and they have easy convenience facility. So this is about Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Then coming to the next one is about Vishwakarma Yojana, Lakhpati Didi Yojana. So Vishwakarma Yojana, as you already know that Vishwakarma is a community in the country and they are generally regarded under the other backward caste of this country, and it provides a facility and it provides financial assistance to the craftsmen enrolled in Jana, and it will receive Vishwakarma certificate and identity card, and under it you can get a loan, and you can get loan up to 2 lakhs in 2 installments, and the interest rate is just minimal, which is the 5% only. And Vishwakarma Yojana has been allocated as a budget of rupees 13,000 crore to 15,000 crore for 5 financial years, and the scheme provides a stipend of rupees 500 for skill training and rupees 1,500 for the purchase of modern equipments, and it has covered the 18 traditional trades which has been done by the Vishwakarma community. So this is for the Vishwakarma community and the people who are engaged in such kind of trades, and they are generally the OBCs of this country. Then we have Lakhpati Didi scheme. So Lakhpati Didi scheme is to provide financial assistance to the women so that they can earn up to 1 lakh rupees in a year, and they are training them, they are providing skills so that they can establish their entrepreneur, they can establish their own business, and for that government of India is giving them grants, government of India is giving them loans. So this is about the Lakhpati Didi, and they are also providing drones, they are also training women that how to use drones, how to repair drones, and how to use drones in various activities just like the agriculture, because in rural areas what we have seen that most of the women who are the agricultural laborers, and because of lack of technology, because of lack of financial facilities, they could not afford their own thing. So that's why these kind of things has been uh, allotted to the women, and around 15,000 women self have be given to training to the operation of the drones. So this is about the women. Then we have Amrit Sarovar mission. So just like the Amrit Bharat station, we have also Amrit Sarovar mission. And under Amrit Bharat station, what we have heard about that the railway station of this country would be revived who are not modern technology equipped. So similarly, we have here the water bodies will be revived, those who have become redundant, those who are not in use, those who are polluted. So it's the initiative of government of India on the occasion of 75 years of completion of the independence. So the government of India has launched this, that how to improve the condition of water bodies, be it river, be it ponds, be it any water bodies which is available in our country. So this is their initiative, and who is making technical partner into this thing. So Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space Application and Geoinformatics is providing the technical assistant and technical partner to the Amrit Sarovar mission, and around 81,000 Amrit Sarovars and total of more 66,000 Amrit Sarovars have been constructed, renovated, and government of India has already achieved its target, which it has decided that it will renovate and construct 50,000. So it has already achieved this target. Then we have Shreyas scheme, and Shreyas schemes for the young achievers from the three community, which is a scholarship scheme for the higher education. And which are the three communities? Scheduled caste, other backward caste, and two communities who are the scheduled caste and other backward caste of this country. And it is a comprehensive scheme under the Ministry of Social Justice, and it provides educational empowerment to the SC and OBCs of this country. And what are their aims? So their aim is to provide free coaching scheme for the scheduled caste and other backward classes, best education for scheduled caste, national migration scheme for scheduled caste, and national fellowship for the scheduled caste student. So what we have seen that SC, OBCs are economically marginalized as well as socially marginalized. So in order to have economic upliftment, educational upliftment, the government of India has come with this scheme in which they will provide educational empowerment to these communities. Then we have State of Working India report, and Azim Premji University Center for Sustainable Employment has released the report State of Working India 2023, highlighting the state of Indian workforce. And the report covers unemployment rates, women participation, intergeneration change, workforce pattern based on the caste. And what are the key points of this particular report? A share of workers receiving wages on a regular and monthly basis has been increased since 2004 and after stagnation since the 1980s. In case of men, it has increased 18% to 25%, and in case of women, it has increased to 10 to 25%. So what we have seen that in according to this data, women has increased significantly, but this data also analyze things on the basis of caste, on the basis of gender, which are not showing a positive result into this direction. So what other findings of this report? Nearly 3 million regular wage jobs were created annually between 2004 and 17. This number increased to 5 million per year between 2017 and 19. And in the year 2004, the income of female salaried employee was only 70% of the total income of men. And by 2017, this gap has narrowed and women's income was 76%. But still, it is not showing a very good result, because this is a data of 2004 and this is the data of 2017. And almost after 14 to 15 years, the rise is just minimal, which is 70 to 76%. Though it is showing a positive trend because the gap has been reduced, but it is not a promising result. And also the total unemployment rate decreased from 8.7% in 2017-18 to 6.6%. So this is also a positive thing about this, that unemployment rate has been decreased, though 6.6 is also a concerning situation. And when it comes to the economic growth, so it has been not translated proportionately into the employment generation with the ability to generate employment. So, and declining in the growth of GDP, because it has not translated according to the needs, according to the caste, according to the gender, and according to the increasing time. So that's why we can see that it is not contributing a lot to the growth of GDP. So that's it for today's class. I hope you like this session. If you have any queries related to the session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you and keep preparing for your examination.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.